Hey, friends, welcome aboard once again. This is Syracuse Sports Live, Syracuse football postgame presented by Krause Health, the exclusive healthcare partner for Syracuse Athletics. You got Brent, you got Javon Edmonds here, and technically, Javon, it is November 1st as we do this, but we would still like to wish everybody a happy Halloween. Hope you had a safe and happy Halloween. Unfortunately, if you were either at the JMA Wireless Dome on Friday or watched the game, I think people that had the game blocked on YouTube TV were saying thank you based on the product that was put out on Friday night. But let's be honest here, Javon. Like when I was a kid, there was always a couple people in the neighborhood that would give you raisins. There's this lady that used to live up the street from me. She always gave out Burger King coupons on Halloween. Coupons for like 50 cents off French fries. And just the bad candy people, right? That's what you got tonight at the Dome. Your trees have toilet paper in them. There's egg on your house, the whole deal. It was an offensive horror show. The Orange have a quarterback emergency at this point as they lose to North Carolina 27-10. Joe Filardi gets the start. Joe Filardi goes 4 of 18 for 39 yards. So Syracuse clearly is almost out of answers here at quarterback, and they still have Miami. They still have Notre Dame. And a one last home game against Boston College to go in this season, in which they are now 3-6 and have lost 5 straight games. Javon, I know that we're beating the same drum here, but this team doesn't have a quarterback. It doesn't have a functional quarterback. We're back to football 101 here. Can we find somebody that can just go out there and run an offense? Because they're running out of options here. There's still a couple guys left that maybe they should try out here in the last few games. Jakari Williams, you're up. Rich Beelan, you're up. Anybody that can throw the football, you're up. But this is just, until they find a quarterback and a solution to this is what we're going to see. And it was dreadful football to watch against a team, by the way, that scored 21 points for the first time this season and became the last FBS team to do that, Bill Belichick's North Carolina Tar Heels.
Can I give you a little story time?
Sure. I like stories.
So when
it was a dark and stormy night. Right? Is that how this one starts?
So when I was at my last job, the Messenger, before I got up here with you wonderful people of Syracuse, I was on assignment for a story. My good friend Fran Dunphy was about to eclipse the 300 win mark as a men's basketball coach. So I was like, you know what? I need a reason to get back to Philly anyway. Go check on my guy, Dunph. So let me go up there, sit in on the practice, perks of working with Seth Davis and Jeff Goodman at the time. So I'm there, right there on the baseline, absorbing all of Dunph and his Dunph essence. And, his guys, they had Jameer Brickus and Khalil Brantley on the team that year. And some of the guys just weren't cutting it in practice.
Okay.
And Dunph in classic Dunph fashion just turns to me, hey, Javon, you got any eligibility left? and I got to be honest with you. I look at Syracuse football right now. I mean, Fran's about 3 minutes away from asking somebody in the press room if they can offer something. It's rough. 4 for 18 from your starter. Then your backup comes in. You don't trust him to throw the ball. You don't go to Rickie because you feel like you can't do it at that point. Rock bottom.
Yeah,
that's all I can say.
That's where they're at. And by the way, I feel like if we're telling stories tonight, it should be like when you tell spooky stories by the campfire. Put the flashlight on your face. Woo! All right. You brought up the backup quarterback. I am bewildered by this. That you trust somebody to go on the field and run your offense, and you will not let him throw the football. Why this coaching staff will not let Luke Carney, does not trust Luke Carney to throw the ball is bewildering to me, and you are doing a disservice to your football team by doing this, okay? He had 2 of 3 against Pitt. He did not have now he tried to throw the ball on a 3rd and 12 and got sacked, right? But how is that it? How is that all you give Luke Carney? Javon, I know Luke Carney can throw the football. I have witnessed this. You have witnessed this. I know it's high school football. He threw for over 10,000 yards in 55 games of high school football. If he can't throw the football, then can he please prove that on the football field? Like if he goes out there and let's say next week it's Miami and they let him sling the ball and it's another horror show, great. You checked the box, you proved it. But how can you put a quarterback on the field and not trust him to throw the ball? We're at basics football 101 here, right? Joe Filardi works his way into being a starting quarterback, which the lacrosse angles here are amazing because Belichick is a great lacrosse. He loves the sport. He had to love the irony that a lacrosse kid, top 50 prospect, by the way, for Gary Gates' team, was going against him. My guys Anish Shroff and Paul Carcaterra, the main lacrosse team for ESPN, calling the game. Like, there's a lot of lacrosse themes here. Joe Filardi should focus on lacrosse right now, and that's not an insult to him. He's just not ready to go out there and be an ACC-level quarterback. We saw that tonight. Luke Carney has now look, Filardi, Long Island legend, I guess, Javon. 44 touchdown passes in a single season, and they love him down there. There's an award, I think, that goes to the Long Island High School Player of the Year. He won that. That's great. I'm not saying Filardi. I almost said Valari, although they should try him again at quarterback. Filardi has played too, right? They let him throw the ball. Why are you not letting Luke Carney throw the darn football?
Yeah,
it's bewildering to me. I cannot come up with a reason why.
If you can let a guy go out there and throw 4 for 18, you can let the other guy get some throws.
Thank you. Yes.
I am, and these are the words you're never supposed to say in podcasting or on radio, but it's the truth. I am out of words. I'm speechless on it. What else is there to say that hasn't been written a million times? Season's over. Got to go get a new quarterback. Yada, 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 fill in the blanks. And whatever you can think, it's been said already. It is, it's time for basketball.
Yeah, that's what you say. And that's Monday, and they better play better defense than they did against Pace in that exhibition game if they're going to get people to engage with them here before they go to Vegas and play two of the top 20 teams in the country here. But that is what is ever present here, Javon. And look, tonight, Jordan Hudson's in the building. Aaron Boone's in the building, manager of the New York Yankees. So I saw in the hallway, and I had to resist the urge to go up and shake his hand as a Red Sox fan and say, keep up the good work, my friend. That's what I would have said to him. Yankee fans, I'm sure, would have had other things to say. But as a Red Sox fan, I enjoy the work that Aaron Boone does.
Yeah, as a Orioles fan, I second that.
I know they got us in the playoffs this year, but trust me, I enjoy the work. But he's there. Jim Phillips, the ACC commissioner. And here's the thing, Javon. You just said it. We're running out of things to say, and they were on ESPN last week. They were on the Friday night ESPN game this week. It was Halloween, so maybe it was just like on in the background for a lot of people.
And the World Series was on.
And the World Series was on. So between those two, you're watching Game 6 of the World Series, and I don't blame you at all for that. Next week, 3:30, ESPN against Miami. Week after that, or after the bye week, NBC. So we're seeing this all play out on ESPN and NBC in primetime. And look, that's great for them in the sense of every click counts, right? That whole thing, and they get credit for if they're on highly rated games. But the thing is, people have to watch those games. You know, if you're tuning in the middle of the second quarter and you're down 35-3 to Miami, it's not going to matter. Same thing with Notre Dame.
And Brent, I'll tell you this.
Yeah.
These FDC on ABC triple headers, I mean, those games are pulling in at a minimum $11.5 million. So, I mean, you're competing for views these days, man. If you're playing on Saturday, you are competing for views. And if you're not on ABC, it's an uphill climb.
And look, Fran came to the press conference tonight, and he had an interesting line when he said at the end there, you know, you better, I don't want to misquote him, but it's basically, you still want to bet on Fran. And he mentioned the recruiting that he's doing. And look, it's fair to mention that he had, as he noted, 12 guys that got NFL looks. There's not 12 guys now in the National Football League, but at the very least got looks. And a lot of them are having a lot of success. OG. Kyle McCord was back in the building tonight with the Eagles. You can go through LaQuinn Allen with the Jags and some guys that are.
Elijah Clark was needed Sunday.
Elijah Clark. Good for him, hanging out with the Cowboys, right? That's fair. 18 freshmen out there. I get it, okay? This is not last year's team. But how this team, the fall that we have seen in a year and how they're playing on the field by losing the key position, and look, they won the transfer portal lottery with Kyle McCord. And before they walked away from the slot machine, it said, no, we got some more for you. Here's a little more, and you get Steve Angeli. Now, Angeli only played 4 games, but the guy left the field at Clemson with an injury as the leading passer in the country. Like, I think we were starting to see him click with that offense. And I think this would be a team with a few more wins under its belt because SMU was winnable. Pitt was winnable. This game was winnable. North Carolina, they've been better the last couple of weeks. I'll give them that, Javon. But you're telling me with an average functional quarterback out there, they can't go out there, put together a few offensive drives and get out of there with a win tonight? I put in my predictions that Syracuse would need a defensive touchdown to be competitive in this game, and they got it. A rare highlight in this game. Great pop by Devin Grant. Anwar Sparrow runs the other way, 50 yards, right? You had that going for you, but you didn't have a quarterback, A, who could just get out there and functionally run the offense, and B, one you didn't let go out there and functionally run the offense and throw the football. So this points back to Rickie Collins, who they pulled out. Fran was insistent for the last month, Javon, like this is the best we have in this room, and we're trying to make it work. And you can see why they tried to make it work. And now you can't go crawling back to Rickie. You can't eat the humble pie and put him back on the field, right? Or do you? Like, what other choice do you have? This point?
Pride is and will be the downfall of man. We got to stop this. You can't run back to your ex stuff. Hey, if that's what was for you, and you're not going to find anything like it, damn it, get on your knees and plead for them to come back. I'm sick of that. Fellas, you lost the best woman you ever had. Go get her back. Ladies, you lost the best man you ever had. Go get him back. Hey, Fran Brown, put Rickie back in the game. I'm so sick of that as a society. Go double back. It's okay. We're human. We mess up. We misjudge things. We make mistakes. It's all right. Go get your quarterback back. Rickie, go in next week against Miami. Redeem yourself. Maybe you got a chip on your shoulder now that you know, hey, you can and will be benched for these young guys.
He's got to be looking around saying, yeah, you thought I was bad, huh? Look at what happens. And Rickie was bad. Nobody's sugarcoating that. He had a high rate of turnovers and missing throws and not seeing throws that are there and all the problems that have been well documented on this podcast and elsewhere. But if you're telling me who's the best of this bunch, yeah, you got 3 games to get through here, 2 of which are against top 12 teams, and it's not looking like the other guys can. But again, you're not letting one quarterback prove he can't do it. At least let Luke Carney prove he can't do it before we're just writing him off. And he's got a redshirt thing going on, Javon. I asked him about that. I talked to Luke a little bit after the game today. And look, I give Luke a lot of credit. He said, I think you mentioned it in your story, that's going to be up on syracuse.com. It's been a rough couple of weeks. You got to wonder what he's thinking. He gets elevated to backup. Rickie gets benched. Filardi rises above him. He's taking it in stride. I can sense he answers the questions politely and respectfully, but you could tell he's really irritated that people don't think he can throw the football. Any quarterback, when he's speaking of pride, the whole world is saying you're a quarterback and you can't throw the ball. That'd be like telling, Dave Matthews you can't play guitar. Like, that's what quarterbacks do.
That was Rickie's,
just let him do it.
That was Rickie's whole thing. He wants to prove he can throw. I mean, everyone knows who my NFL allegiance is to. And it was a thing with Lamar Jackson for years, how Richard Sherman fixed his lips to say, make Lamar beat you through the air last night. It's beyond me, but whatever. Yeah, you want to go out there and you want to prove it that I can throw the ball. And if you're not given that opportunity, you're going to be heated. You know, Brent, imagine if the Temptations, hired Dennis Edwards to replace David Ruffin, right? And then never let Dennis record an original song. No, you're just going to sing all the David songs for your whole tenure. You've been heated. You can't let that happen. You wouldn't have gotten the Cloud 9. You wouldn't have gotten the Papa Was a Rolling Stone. You just can't do it. You have to let Luke prove himself.
I love how our music choices are showing here. If you didn't let Sammy Hagar prove what he could do with Van Halen, then we could do dueling pianos on this all night. I love it. Here's the we could talk about quarterbacks all night, but that's the story of this team, folks. If they don't have a quarterback, they don't have anything, right? You cut the head off the snake, it's not going to move. How much, Javon, though, do we put on the defense here? Because I get it. If drive after drive after drive, your offense isn't helping you, things are going to start to break down. But man, there were some bad, I don't even want to say missed tackles, because they weren't missed tackles. It was just lack of tackling. That 72-yard touchdown where no one put a hand on, I forget the guy for North Carolina at the top of my head. And then Brahim Long gets the stiff arm at the end of the play. And then you just see this systematic breakdown of tackling. The defense is getting asked to do a lot here, and they put a touchdown on the board tonight. But that's got to be frustrating for them to know, like, man, here we go again. We're back on the field. The offense cannot do a thing to help us out. And I know I said I wasn't going to talk about the offense, but I lied. What are Justice Ross Simmons, Jonte Cook, Dan Villari, Daryl Gill, seasoned, experienced players thinking right now? How do they keep it together? Like, this is how they're going to go down in the last 3-4 games of the season after all that talk about we got to do it for the seniors and everything? Like, if you don't have anybody who can get him the football, like, short of giving him the ball on jet sweeps or something, what are you going to do?
I mean, Chris Carlson requested Dan Villari, couldn't get him. I requested Jonte Cook, couldn't get him. So, I mean, we tried to get those.
I requested Daryl Gill, was not available.
Daryl Gill.
We want to know what they're thinking. Maybe they'll talk Tuesday. We'll see. But
that's rough though. Like, so you've got to convince Jonte to come back, right? And is your whole selling point going to be Steve's going to be back for conference play? What if he isn't? And what if he gets hurt again? That's it's a tough sell right now for upperclassmen pass catchers at Syracuse. I don't know, man. And then you brought up the 72-yard screen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the stiff arm to Brahim Long and how it just changed the momentum. I mean, I thought I was right back in Northeast Baltimore, January 2020, watching the 14-2 Ravens, and then Derrick Henry just stiff arms Earl Thomas, and you just know it's downhill from there. That's exactly what that play felt like tonight. You finally have a lead at halftime for the first time since Clemson. That's more than a month ago. And then, boom, first drive afterwards. Easy, quick touchdown. And then it just keeps going downhill from there. That's the team in Syracuse that has to learn how to hold on to momentum. Old Mo is a fickle man. Momentum is a precious thing.
Yes.
You have to value it. You have to cherish it. And they just relinquish it so freely. I don't know how you keep making that mistake. At some point, like, you have to take Fran up on his offer and not blame the players. And, like, no. Put it on the coaching staff. When repeated patterns like that happen within an athletic program, that's a coaching thing.
That is a coaching thing. And if you don't believe us, you can believe the 6-time Super Bowl champion, Bill Belichick. And we're going to have a post about this. Our friend Justin's going to write this for an overheard post that you'll see on syracuse.com. He went to the Carolina postgame. Bill Belichick was like, we didn't change anything. New quarterback, same thing. Like, they're trying to put all these guys in the same box. Now, Filardi, I can see why, because he kind of fits more of the style. But when Rickie was out there, how much did you adjust to his?
Didn't at all.
Not at all. They tried to put him in a box. And I'm not saying Rickie would have lit the world on fire if they made some changes. He still made those throws and still made those mistakes. But you want your quarterback, speaking of Mo, You want your quarterback to have a little swagger, a little confidence. This is where I am best. This is what I do. So Rickie has not done that. Luke has not been able to throw the football. I think Jeff Nixon's a good offensive coordinator, but I'm starting to wonder, like, why do these guys have to fit in a box?
I'm starting to think Jeff Nixon is plays over players. And you have to be a real brilliant disciple of Bill Walsh or Mike Shanahan's coaching trees for that to be a 100% hit. And last I checked, Nixon hasn't worked for any of those. Where are the read options and the speed options on this team? Mm-hmm. We saw Filardi take a 14-yard read option tonight. Like, these guys are not Steve Angeli. These guys have to use their legs to open everything up. You have to switch your offense to that. They need designed runs. They need that to be able to set up the bootleg. Like, these are not traditional pocket passers, and you cannot treat them as such. You're going to lose with that being the situation. And guess what? You got 6 straight losses to account for. So at some point, you have to become players over plays and not plays over players.
I got the picture right here, Javon. There he is, Steve Angeli, in the boot, on the scooter, but he can still throw the ball, which led to many people have to say, can you play football in a scooter? Just asking for a friend, petition the NCAA. Let's see what the insiders had to say about this one. You ready?
I'm ready.
Being a Syracuse Sports Insider means you get direct text message access to me anytime, guys. During games, need to vent, text Uncle Brent. I'm here for you. Basketball starts Monday. We'll be doing that. Live post-game shows coming after basketball, by the way. News, information, opinion, analysis. Just want to shoot the breeze and talk SU sports. That is what being a Syracuse Sports Insider brings to you. Sign up today. It's just $3.99 a month. You can try it free for 2 weeks. All the info right there on your screen and in the show notes on how you can sign up. And our insiders had this to say tonight, Javon. Ryan F. says, well, at least this is the last football game I need to pay attention to before basketball season. Yeah, there it is. Right? And again, they better play better defense. I don't care who you're playing. Pace, Binghamton, or Kansas. You got to if this basketball team does not improve defensively, it's going to get ugly real quick. I don't care how much offensive talent they have in that room. They have a better point guard, the whole deal. You got to play defense.
I like Sadiq White.
I really like Sadiq White.
I think that kid's not done growing. I think he's going to grow into one of those athletic stretch fours. I'm looking out for him. I like that kid.
He is fun. We're going to get Javon at a few basketball games this year.
Absolutely.
Sean M. says, how do you ask players to lay it on the line like football requires with this quarterback situation, and who the hell do you start at Miami? The first part of that question is one that I'm wondering about myself too, Javon. Like, Fran can sit up on that podium. We're together. We're a family. He had the family shirt on up there, the whole thing. But again, Filardi, JRS, the veterans, the guys that are just standing around like, this is how my career is going to end here, by just going on the field and basic. I'm not saying they go through the motions that they're not playing hard, but they're just running routes knowing they're not going to get the football, right? Some of the veteran defensive guys that are like, man, what more can we do here? Like, what those guys are thinking and how they get it together and turn this thing. 2 years ago, Javon, this team was so injury plagued at the quarterback position that Dan Filardi had to step in and do the Thunder Dan offense, as our friend Chris Carlson likes to call it, right? And they got across the finish line, and they got the 6 wins, and they did it. They had to jerry-rig that thing, but they did it. Where is that answer on this team? I don't see it. You can't ask Filardi to do that again. I guess maybe you can. Maybe don't take it off the table. But it's those guys and those veterans that I feel horrible for, that they have to endure this.
Let me tell you, running around for no reason in any sport gets very, very annoying quick, to the point where it takes everything in you not to go to your coaches and say, take me out. You hate being an outfielder with the pitching staff that just lets everything get hit into the gaps, and then you got catchers who can't catch the ball or make the tag when you make a good throw from the outfield. It stinks. you're a big fella in basketball and you're playing with one of these new age guards that doesn't know how to look inside to save their lives, Lord, it makes me itch. It gets you pissed off. And when you're a pass catcher in football, when you're just out there running routes just to get your cardio in, man, tough proposition.
Q Endzone says, an amazing recruiter, but I'm really starting to question how this team runs practice and what they see, because that kid should never have been a starter, talking about Filardi tonight. Losing to this North Carolina team like this at home, and I know my guy Q Endzone was there tonight, is the worst loss I've seen a Q's football coach take in a long time. Al says, Fran has a coaching emergency. Poor play calling with young quarterbacks, poor tackling on defense. Eddie P says, I think the coaches need a class in Dart themselves, because they certainly haven't been detailed, accountable, relentless, or tough in this one. From Brian, it says, the quarterback room is in just as bad a shape as it was when Nunzio, I referenced this a minute ago, had to step in after Dino Babers was fired. This is disgraceful. Fran made what has ended up being a critical failure in the portal, talking about Rickie Collins. So, look, I think most people reasonably can look at what Fran Brown is doing, big picture, the recruiting class coming in next year, putting aside what they even accomplished on the field last year. Calvin Russell was there tonight, right? Starting to get names of, and you got to keep them signed on until they sign on the dotted line.
I think I would bet my whole bank account that he's going to be at Miami next week also.
He is going to be there, right? Miami's still pursuing him. And like you said, that sell of, hey, just hang with us till Steve comes back. When's that going to be? Oh, well, we'll see it. But like, you got to give people firm answers on these things. So most reasonable minds would say, okay, the Fran Brown thing is, it is a process. It is working for the most part. But you brought it up a minute ago, Javon. If we continue to see these failures on the field with what you have, this is the team you have. This team right here, right now, 18 freshmen or not, this is the team they have. And they can't function, right? That's an indictment on you and your staff, right? Freshmen have to play. I've seen freshmen get on the field and excel. I've seen it here with Antoine Deloria and Demetrius Samuel. Not everybody can do that as a fresh face out there, as an 18, 17, in some cases 17-year-old kid on the field. I get that. But this coaching staff and Fran, like, you got to renew those receipts that when it's game day, you show what you can do. Not that you're building a roster, that what you do with your roster on the field counts. And I know last year, as he brought it up, they had 12 NFL guys. This year doesn't. Believe in Fran, buy stock in Fran, whatever he was saying at his press conference tonight, right? Well, this is really testing the patience of a fan base that you said it. Why am I going to pay to go see that? Basketball season's coming up. Like, you got to renew that stuff. You got to show that you can do it, right? And that's really tough when you don't have a quarterback. Matty S. says, they say football is the ultimate team sport. It may be true, but man, you can't do anything with bad quarterback play. Let me ask you this question that Michael S. asked me. So Maitre D, who's the quarterback du jour against the Hurricanes? Javon, would you start Rickie Collins against the Canes? As you said, run back to your ex. That scene in a romantic comedy when you're running through the airport. No, don't get on the plane.
I have a confession. I can't watch rom-coms because I wind up enjoying them. Can't watch. So with that being said, yeah, start Rickie. Go back to your ex. I might get that printed on a T-shirt. Go back to your ex. That's my theme for the week. Yeah.
I feel that way about Hallmark Christmas movies, by the way.
Oh, Brent. Woo.
They all have the same plot, all of them. But I don't know, man. I get suckered into those. By the way, there is a Buffalo Bills Hallmark Christmas movie this year.
I've been told. One of our coworkers, hint, may have a cameo.
That's correct. Shout Podcast, Matt Perino and company. Look out for them. Stars in the making. Frankie S. says, these seasons need to stop becoming dumpster fires after one player, albeit the most important one, goes down. Elite programs overcome this. Fran's done remarkable work in less than 2 full years, but this season is a cold dose of how difficult that rebuild is. That's a great closing thought from the insiders. In terms of the texts, to the voicemail line we go, Javon. Being a Syracuse Sports Insider also gives you access if you ask nicely, to the secret voicemail line. We had a few of those after this game. Let's take a listen. Voicemail number 1.
Hey, Brent, Nick in Vegas. Just wanted to call and relive that nightmare, I guess. I'm a glutton for punishment, maybe. So I think Fran brought up a good point in the presser. This team is extremely young. He's got freshmen and sophomores playing all over the field. So, yes, give some slack in that regard. That said, if you're going to play 2 quarterbacks, you got to give them an equal shot. Carney looked far more comfortable on the field opposed to both when he was competing with Rickie and now with Filardi. He runs hard. Give the kid a shot. It can't be any worse when he throws the ball. But when I took most out of the press conference, Fran said they adapt to the personnel. I haven't seen that. And I think that's something that needs to be done. But he's saying they're doing it, but it's not evident. Why? And my biggest thing from tonight, when does the E-Rob experience end? Something's got to change. All right, Brent. Well, till next week, I guess. Have a good one.
There's our guy, Nick in Vegas, first voicemail up there, which you were kind of talking about that, Javon, about coaching and these things that have to shine through. They are not adjusting to the personnel, at least what I see. Not enough anyway. It's not working. It's not. I mean, Belichick said it himself. No, we saw the same thing, the same quarterback. And I get you can't completely change your offense in 5 days, but you can change it enough. Be like, what does this guy do well? We have to work on that. It was the same thing with Rickie. Same thing with Joe. Same thing with Luke. They're just, you said it, plays, not players. That's the problem we're seeing on both sides of the ball, honestly.
You know, Nick brings up Elijah Robinson. Elijah Robinson is a very interesting butterfly effect thing for me personally. If Arthur Johnson's job were not on the line at Temple, Elijah Robinson had a very good chance of landing that job.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, KC Killer got hired because Arthur Johnson knew his job was on the line and he could not go with another guy who had never been a head coach at the FBS level. Imagine if that were not the case. There could be a whole other fan base with this type of outrage and a whole new defensive coordinator in Syracuse. Just the conversations could be very different right now in the realm of East Coast college football. It is funny how things work. I feel like the defense this season has had its highs and it's had its lows. I don't know if I'm ready to go on the whole pull the E-Rob trigger yet, but I will say some things absolutely have to improve. I don't think that's a question. I think what concerns me is your background is in coaching the defensive line, and that might be the weakest unit of your defense. That is what concerns me.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
I think that's the same thing with, Mike McDaniel and the Dolphins right now. You're an offensive guy, and your offense can't get going.
That's never good. When you're
not good.
When that's the title of your resume, and that's the weakness on the team. Exactly. Voicemail number 2. Let's take a listen.
I'm glad to be listening, but the season's over. Randy and Austin here. The season is over tonight. There's a huge black hole at quarterback. The defense can't stop anybody. They just got run over by an anemic North Carolina team. The season is over. Do you think wide receivers will come back here next year? I hope Angeli is going to be healthy because I hope wide receivers come back. I've used the term before, buzzkill, but what a just, this is Halloween, so this is the final nail in the coffin. It's the final nail for me. Maybe I'll tune in to watch and see if they can beat Boston College, but I'm out.
Thank you, Randy. And I think he brings up a fair question because now you're thinking next season. You're thinking broadly. You're thinking who's going in the portal. And you're thinking, okay, you're trying to get receivers to come in or stay in this case, right? Uncle David, the lines are open if you want to chime in on this. You're trying to get receivers to stay. Steve doesn't come back. If he has the best rehab of all time, Javon, from that injury, right? He's back for training camp, let's say. He's able to go out there and throw the ball. You still have an entire offseason of workouts that receivers have to get in the flow, have to feel like they're part of the offense, have to work with a quarterback. There's going to be a natural attrition in the portal. I don't know anything here, but if I'm Rickie Collins, I'm probably thinking I'm going back in the portal. At the very least, he's thinking about it, given if he doesn't get back on the field in the next 3 games and this thing ends badly for him.
Grambling, Louisiana Tech, ULL, ULM,
this is closer to
Northwestern
home.
State,
Exactly.
Southern Miss.
Well, he'll play where he will play, right? You might lose another quarterback or two by attrition, just by the portal and in the era we're in today. Getting a quarterback to sign on here, knowing they're walking in as number 2 to Steve Angeli, going to be hard to do. Those receivers, the whole thing. Randy brings up a fair point here about, now, Fran Brown could sell a woman in white gloves a ketchup popsicle. He knows how to sell. He knows how to get these guys engaged, and I'll give him credit for that. But he's going to have to do it again. He's going to have to do it again, knowing that the good news is you have Steve Angeli. The bad news is you don't get him back till August, and bridging that gap is going to be very hard to do. Very hard to do.
You said he can sell a woman in white
gloves a ketchup popsicle. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Okay.
There you go. And finally, I believe a Florida area code has chimed in.
Uh-oh.
Hey, Brent,
I think it is.
around in Florida. I'll tell you what, this was the worst game on both sides of the ball this year. The offense did not score a single offensive touchdown. We have a quarterback in there that makes 3 completions all game. The play calling was atrocious. By the way, what happened to the wide receiver screen? I don't think we threw it once tonight. And Filardi, I think he only went after one pass. And he dropped that, or was a terrible throw, one of the two. And then you got the defense, who couldn't put pressure on the quarterback, couldn't stop the run, couldn't tackle. That was pathetic. So maybe what the coach will use for an excuse why this happened. I don't believe this team will win any of the remainder games this year. Basketball season's looking pretty good. But I'm going to hang in there. I'll wait till next week, that game. Can't get worse, I hope. Anyways, until then, later.
The legend, Rockin' Ron, with the secret voicemail line there.
Poor Rockin' Ron. You got to think, Ron's in Florida, right? And after you see Syracuse effectively ruin Miami's season last year, and you see Miami on the schedule again this year, you just got to be chomping at the bit to make it to that game, right? You know, or come up as far north as Atlanta for the Georgia Tech game. And they just gave him no incentive to spend his money and make those trips this year. You feel bad for fans. Like
there's a trip there too that Uncle Brent thought about taking, because you got Syracuse, Miami, and then the Buffalo Bills are in Miami next week. But those are going to be 2 really bad football games. Let's be honest, right? Yeah. Now, at least my team's going to win one of them. Okay? You brought up Mike McDaniel earlier, like the sacrificial lamb the Dolphins have been for Josh Allen loves to see the Dolphins
Bills
coming.
Feast on Miami, Lord,
all the time, and they're probably going to be in a bad mood after playing Kansas City on Sunday. I'm not encouraged about that matchup, but we'll see how that turns out. Well, Javon, it's on to the leftover Halloween candy. It's on to basketball season. It's on
candy
to
corn guy.
Yes. Team candy corn.
I think candy corn gets more hate. I think people hate on candy corn because it's just become cool to do.
Exactly.
Candy corn.
Candy corn's fine.
That bad.
It's fine. Now, here's the thing. I don't buy it. I don't seek it out. But if I'm in a room and the candy corn's there, give me a handful.
Give me some candy corn.
I'm in, man. I am in.
Right here, Brent.
Boom.
Boom.
Worst Halloween candy is, now some people will say like the Necco wafers. A lot of bad Halloween candy out there. The worst, Mallow Cups.
I don't even know what those are.
Mallow Cups, you don't need to know. If you see one, buy it and burn it.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
They're in these little yellow packages. It's like a little, they're like knockoff Reese cups, but they're chocolate with marshmallow, and it's
okay.
They're vile. They're vile, right? So tonight, if you gave out Mallow Cups, right to jail. Right to jail. Okay? I'm ratting you out. That is the worst Halloween candy. Ladies and gentlemen, give me this candy corn stuff.
Oh, man.
But despite our attempts to turn the page here, my friend, there are still 3 games left. We will be covering them for you because we are a glutton for punishment. No, because we want to bring the coverage to the people. So we'll be back next Saturday with a Syracuse football postgame show. I think we're going to do a combo basketball football postgame show next week because you got Syracuse basketball, 1 o'clock game, Delaware State, Syracuse football, 3:30, Miami. So I think we'll do a little combo deal. We'll see if we talk more basketball and football. That's coming up, Syracuse Sports Podcast. Subscribe, follow, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts, of course. Follow Javon's work on syracuse.com. Chris Carlson, our great Syracuse football crew. So much to come here. A few games to get through, and we'll see how Syracuse patches together something at the quarterback position to go and play number 9 Miami, as Javon brought up. Probably thinking a little bit about last year and how Syracuse ruined their chances for bigger and better things. That's going to do it for this edition, though, of Syracuse Sports, the Syracuse football postgame show live. For candy corn loving Javon Edmonds, I am candy corn loving Brent Axe. Krause Health, the exclusive healthcare partner for Syracuse Athletics, presents our Syracuse football postgame shows. You guys have a great weekend. Thanks for hanging with us tonight, and we will talk to you again soon.